Chief Edwin Clark, thank you for having us in your place today. You're one of the foremost Nigerian nationalists, and in year 2010, you were one of the first people that spoke about Jonathan contesting for the president of the nation, even when people are saying this is the time for the northern part of Nigeria to produce a president. Why are we going to allow Jonathan to break a promise in the PDP?
Thank you. Well, I've always been, I'm sorry, last time you came you didn't see me, but I do hope we'll have some time together. I think sometimes politicians do not want to speak the truth about anything. I'm surprised when I hear of Atiku, Babangida, and even Saraki talking about zoning, President Yar'Adua, I'm sorry, President Jonathan not being sincere or not keeping to the rules and so on. That's a moral honor and so on. I laughed. In the first place, there was the zoning, in fact, that's reflected in the constitution of PDP under section 7.2 also, has nothing to do with North and South. If you look at the constitution under section 7, there's nothing about zoning saying that there will be zoning between the North and the South. There's nothing like that. All that is said is that there should be, for equity and other things, and in the interest of everybody, there should be zoning of offices, of government official offices and party offices. That's what is said. It did not say zoning between the North and the South. It will be recalled in 1914, Lord Lugard brought in North and South together, and we have a united Nigeria. That was the time. Mm-hmm. But in 1947, under the Richardson Constitution, 3 regions were created. The Northern region, the Eastern region, and the Western region, including Lagos. So if you are talking about zoning, there were 3 zones at that time. Then under the late Abacha, 6 zones were created. Northwest, Northeast, and North Central in the North. Southwest, South-South, and Southeast in the South. So if anything needs to be zoned at all, it should be between these 6 zones, and not between North and South, which has been the problem of Nigeria for a long time now. People in the North, most of them think that they are North, and therefore, everything that they're talking about South, their reaction may be, and vice versa. So, if there was to be a zoning of offices, it should be zoned between the 6 geopolitical zones in this country. And to demonstrate this, when the late President Yar'Adua was appointing ministers, he appointed 36 ministers representing each of the states, 36 states are provided for in the Constitution. Then he went further to appoint 6 ministers, each representing each of the zones. In fact, it was at that time the issue of Olubebe from the South-South. So Olubebe was appointed minister representing South-South. There were other ministers representing other areas. Jonathan had repeated that the same way. So as far as I'm concerned, there is no zoning between the North and the South. in the constitution of Nigeria, of PDP.
But the issue is now generating a lot of tension in the country, and people are saying that if we have Jonathan emerge as PDP candidate, it might lead to either an implosion of the PDP or there might be crisis.
What crisis? When did not rule Nigeria for 38 years, from 1958 to this time? There was no crisis in this country. When the West ruled this country for 12 years and above, there was no crisis in this country. It was only the East that ruled for 6 months. We in the South Side, we have never ruled. We have not. Even though we produce 90% of the economy of this country, we were not. Are we second class in this country? What has happened is God's intervention. We are very sorry that the president died. The same northerner said that it was Obasanjo who imposed Yar'Adua on them. It was not their choice. No northerner was talking about zoning until the governors manipulated Obolafo, Vincent Obolafo, who was then the national chairman of PDP. The question of zoning did not arise.
But
if you listen,
okay.
If you remember, in 2005, 2006, or even 5, Dr. Peter Odili, former governor of Rivers State, Architect Obongata, former governor of Akwa Ibom, Donald Duke, former governor of Cross River, Admiral Higbe, Chief A.K. Hosford, these people campaigned all over the north. I was the leader of South People's Assembly, SSPA. We sent delegations to Northwest, Northeast, and North Central to say, this time around is our turn. And there was nobody in the north who said that it is our turn.
Professor Ango Abdullahi, sir.
No, listen.
Professor Ango Abdullahi.
Listen, let me go on.
In a paid, I just want to bring your attention to this.
Yeah.
Professor Ango Abdullahi, in a paid advertisement sometimes ago, claimed that you were part of the series of meetings in which zoning was discussed. He even said that you never nominated Goodluck Jonathan as the representative of the South region. I'm
very sorry indeed. A professor, a former vice chancellor of a university should lie, should be very unscrupulous. I'm very sorry. Professor Ango Abdullahi is a supporter of Liu Gso. That was the candidate he wanted. When the Northern Union, founded by Saraki at the time, of which Ango Abdullahi was a member, came to us in Warri, and we discussed. They said they wanted the presidency of the North after Obasanjo. We said no, we wanted it because we have never had it, and we are producing 90%. Our area is neglected, we are dehumanized, injustice is being done, we are being marginalized. This time, if we are Nigeria, is the time for the South.
Understanding that, I want to bring your attention to...
No, I'm coming.
Sorry, sir. The situation...
Excuse me, you told me that, he even said I never wanted...
that you didn't nominate...
I didn't nominate. He's a liar, a first-class liar. Who was the president we wanted to be the vice president? I played a leading role in the nomination of Jonathan as the vice president. So that is... If it is between me, Obasanjo, and the PDP hierarchy, the Yar'Adua wanted me to recommend a candidate for him who will become the vice president. Odili was nominated by Obasanjo, but one thing went wrong, and in reading the acceptance speech of Yar'Adua, Yar'Adua now found that, or now read that I shall appoint my running mate after due consultation with the elders of the party. It was at that juncture, that morning of Sunday, that Yar'Adua sent some people to me, whether I could help him to get someone. And I know that if I nominate somebody, he will take it to Mr. President. And that's what happened. I nominated Jonathan, so Abdullah is a liar. No. There was no time we talked about individual. No. And there was no time we accepted to nominate a vice president. We said we wanted the president of Nigeria and not the vice president.
Now, what is quite worrying is if you learn from what happened to the Yorubas in Southwest, where 8 years of the Obasanjo presidency did not bring any significant change to the people of the Southwest, what gives you the confidence that 4 years of Jonathan presidency would alleviate the problem, the very terrible problem of the people of Niger Delta? Oil spillage, children cannot go to school, fishermen cannot fish. Do you not think that Jonathan will behave like his former, the elder Chief Obasanjo? And are you sacrificing the struggle of the Niger Delta people for a Jonathan presidency?
I think you have been uncharitable. I think you have been unkind to President Olusegun Obasanjo, that he did not do anything for the Yorubas. In what
the roads in the south, even the roads.
Which were the roads he did in other places?
So he was not. He didn't do well for the whole country. Then.
So no, you can say people will have different opinion, but in the pace of capacity development, human development, there were more Yorubas in the government of Obasanjo than any other place. Having regard to the fact that in the first 4 years of Obasanjo, you didn't vote for him. You voted for AD. The people who voted for him were the Southern minority and Northern minorities. They voted mostly for him.
So how are you going to hold President Jonathan accountable to make sure that the terrible situation in the Niger Delta does not?
Do you forget that even now Chief Bafemi Awolowo said if he was given the presidency of Nigeria for 1 day, it would make difference. Wait. Not that Jonathan is president of the whole of Nigeria. He's not president of South South. He's not president of Niger Delta. But he is wearing the shoes. And he will know where the shoes pinch him.
What is different
And I believe that, given the opportunity, he would be able to carry the neglect of the South-South or the Niger Delta. He will be able to bring it to a minimum. We are not saying that in 4 years he will do magic. He will try his best while developing other parts of Nigeria. He is not the type that will neglect other parts of Nigeria in order to develop the South-South. Or the Niger Delta.
You seem to have a lot of confidence on the president. What is different about this president, sir?
President let me take. Jonathan is sent by God. Let me tell you 2 things. I was joking about them last night. This is the 50th anniversary of 50th Golden Jubilee of Nigeria, isn't it?
Yes.
Isn't it?
It is.
Okay. Jonathan fits into that. Good luck, Jonathan. Golden Jubilee. You see the names? Oh, you are not making a point.
You are making a point.
I'm making a point. When Nigeria were crying, when will Jonathan appoint a credible, a man, incorruptible person? When will they appoint a replacement for Morisiwu? He said he was going to appoint somebody that he never knew, he has never met, he has never spoken to. Then he appointed Cheka. The whole of this country said, yes, this is a very good appointment. This is one appointment people never criticize so much. Do you want me to tell you another joke? Jega, Jonathan, Ebele, G. Goodluck, A. Azikwe. You catch that joke?
I got it.
You got it. Jonathan is God sent. Not only that, a man who is a PhD holder, lecturer, a man who was a good civil public servant, as a assistant director in Umpadek, a man who became deputy governor. He had no problem with his governor. A man who became governor, even at the time he never wanted to take over from Alemesia. When Alemesia was arrested, he became the governor for 1 year. He didn't contest of wanting to become president of Nigeria or vice president of Nigeria. He came with his team for the normal convention. In the process, everybody wanted to be vice president, failed. He came from the blue. He became the vice president of Nigeria. Unfortunately, his boss, the president, fell ill, and Nigeria rose up in one and said, Jonathan must act under section 145 of the Nigerian Constitution, and he did. Everybody in Nigeria, whether you are northerner, whether you are westerner or easterner or south, we were all in unison, and Jonathan became an acting president of Nigeria.
Chief.
At the time again, when people were beginning to feel what will happen again, Jonathan became the president of this country. We deeply regret for the passing away of the former president. He was a very nice man. So these are, then today, when you came into my house here, there was light. But because you wanted to interview me, I said put on the generator to bring more light. When I came into this house about 6 months ago, there was no NEPA. I have a generator I've been using. Today, power has improved. People now spend less in buying diesel. Today, INEC is in shape. Whatever INEC, the Nigerian want, INEC now have it. Nigerian are giving them 87 billion naira within a very short time. Sign into law, the electoral law, and he said, what? And the security in the country is better than before. So, as far as I'm concerned, Jonathan is sent by God.
So now, what is the position of the with the state of security? There are kidnappings in Abia State yesterday, and I am actually more particular about the situation in the Niger Delta. Are you going to, if you discover that the president, maybe after 2 years, is not doing what is right as it concerns the Niger Delta or any other issue, are you going to raise your voice as you usually do?
Why not? Even in 1 year, if it makes no improvement in the Niger Delta, I will. I'm the leader of our people. And secondly, Nigeria is a big country. You cannot, because of the interest of one man, you would now say that nothing's happening. You don't care whether the president performs or not. If he doesn't perform, I will say so. For instance, tomorrow I'm going to criticize the federal government for aborting the summit of the Igbos in a way. I'm going to criticize them. This is a democratic country. Anybody has the right to assemble and to speak his mind. Why abort it? Even though they've refuted it that they were not the cause, whoever caused it must be condemned. This is a free country, and we're approaching an election where people have to campaign freely, vote freely.
Finally, Chief, we know observers are saying this election there's going to be rancor. When the candidate, whoever wins the election, are you going to be part of the process to heal aggrieved candidates, aggrieved sections of the society, and bring everyone together so that we can move the nation forward?
Oh yes, but let me make this very clear. The president has told the whole world and Nigerians that there's going to be a free and fair election. One man, one vote. The president has promised all Nigerians that the security forces will take care of any crisis during the elections. So I'm looking forward to a free and fair election. And people are now even saying, at the end of it all, when you know you properly lost, you will not complain. So there will be no crisis for some of us to come in to settle. Everybody will know that if you have, during your primaries, there must be internal democracy. During the primaries, people will vote as if they were voting during the national election, general election. So after the general election, people will say that this is why I failed. Nobody took my ballot papers. Nobody slapped me. Nobody did this. There will be very little room for negotiation or for settlement of differences or grievances.
Chief Edwin Clark, thank you for letting us have this interview.
Thank you. I also want to say this, that the Sahara reports we have, sometimes we are very much worried that you say so many things that are not true in Nigeria. You don't have to manufacture stories. I was the Minister of Information in this country. And the press must come out. We are not saying that you are perfect or you should be perfect in everything. But please, for instance, the way you people publish, when the First Lady, for instance, was ill and she went to Beirut for treatment with people, you started shadowing her that you went to buy jewelry, you're going to do this, you want to get a cameraman to follow and so on. This is the head of state's wife. At least you must think of your country before you think about what your people should say.
We want to subject them to the same scrutiny that we subjected Yar'Adua, Obasanjo, or any other president.
I don't care. You do the same thing. If any bad thing is done, publish it. But don't manufacture stories against people. There's democracy. You are free to do anything. I'm one of the supporters of the Sahara report. I did it every day. And you've been doing a very good job. So carry on.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thank you, sir.
Very nice one.